Hey guys, we're on the road for the next couple of days doing some different jobs, and I wanted to go over a couple points with you guys. I wanted to get some videos out. I apologize if it's noisy in the background. I've got a bunch of tools and equipment in the back seat, and so you might hear them rattling around a little bit. What I thought would be kind of a fun thing to go over is actually 5 tips to starting your own business. Now, this channel obviously oriented towards farm and like homesteading stuff. A lot of us are wanting to have our own business, and that we use those revenue sources so we can kind of live our dreams. My wife and I have been entrepreneurs for years. We've owned several businesses. We actually make the majority of our income through real estate. So the business aspect of it is something that my wife and I both understand very, very well, and we thought we could share some kind of insight with y'all. So let's just go ahead and dive into this. And I'm sorry there's no intro or anything. Not going to be any editing on this video, just simply because we're on the road. I don't have my laptop with me, and I don't have the capabilities of doing everything. The number one thing is to change your mindset, and Elon Musk is a really good example of this. Elon Musk has a very unique mindset in the way that he looks at his business proposals and stuff like that, and he really embodies this point. But what I'm talking about when I say change your mindset is you have to change your mindset from a salaried employee or even a manager or somebody on commission. You have to change the way that you look at the world. Now, we all heard the parable of the grain of rice that doubles every day for 30 days versus 1,000,000 grains of rice, that sort of thing. And the point of the parable is that if you're smart, you'll pick the one that doubles every day because you understand exponential growth. But really, the way you should be looking at it, if you want to be an entrepreneur and want to be a business owner, is how did they double that every day? And that's really a more important question, because if I know how they doubled that every day, I can do that with $1 million. So I can elect to take the 1,000,000 grains of rice or $1 million or whatever version of the parable you want to use, and I can say I'm going to double this every day for 30 days, and that's a whole different equation, and that's what we want to do. We want to try to change our mindset to ask the question, how do they do this? The second point on here is take ownership of your ownership. So you're now the business owner, and I just saw a butcher here fail, and he pointed the finger at everybody at his staff. Now, the truth is that he was just completely incompetent. The way he ran his business was just they were just incompetent. So that's why they failed. But one of the big things that he did that kind of drove me crazy is he wanted to point the fingers at everybody, and it doesn't really matter whose fault it is when you own the business. You're 100% responsible for it. So if the business was doing really well, you would say, oh, I put this team together and I did all this work and I picked the right people, and and you take all the credit for it and say that we got here because of the way that I did things. And that's kind of part of the problem, is that you're looking at this as a me thing, and that'll bring us into our next point. But the first step is to make sure you're taking ownership. When something goes bad, you have to take ownership. When something goes good, you have to give credit. And even if it's not your fault, I'm not talking about from a verbal, like, yes, I'm letting everyone know that I take full blame for this, even though it's not really my fault. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is you take the ownership and figure out how to fix the problem so that A, it doesn't happen again, and B, that we can move forward. So whether this is a customer service issue and we now have to spend some money on customer service stuff, or whatever it is, you have to take ownership of your ownership in the business. And like I said, that brings us into the next point of building a proper team. The team that you build and that you put together does not necessarily have to be people that work for you, but people that you work with, people that are actually team members on your that are on staff with you. There's a number of ways that this team can come together. We like to put people on commission base and give them some ownership in our different ventures. So whether that's whether that allows them to start their own business and like a kind of a fiefdom underneath us, or they're on a straight commission doing whatever jobs that we have, and they bring in some business and some commission. What we found is that a little bit of mixture of both works really well for most people. So a salary plus commission actually works. Wow, that is a loud truck. Salary plus commission actually works really, really well. And so that's what we want to look at when we build our team. We want to make sure that we're getting the right people that have that entrepreneur mindset, and people that will figure out and that will problem solve and that will make things more efficient. Which brings us into number 4. Prioritize cash flow over efficiency. This is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make as a starting entrepreneur. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, this isn't efficient. I need to be the most efficient." No, you really just need to get cash flow started. Without cash flow, your business is dead in the water. And so the first step is to have regular cash flow coming in through your business. And this was one of the big things when I started my first business that was I knew was kind of paramount to my success, was having good cash flow so that I could actually use that money and do things with. And I'm not talking about necessarily making a lot of money, but having consistent money in. For your business, it's much better to have $1,000 coming in every month than $12,000 once a year, because that cash flow is what the lifeblood of your business, and that flow will allow you to do things and allow you to plan strategically and build your business. $12,000 paycheck once a year doesn't allow you to do that. So that's what that's part of the reason why farmers tend to have a harder time, because they go to the stock sales once a year, and that creates a really tough atmosphere to try to do well. So create the cash flow. That's step number 4. Step number 5 is to, hang on, let me get this ladder because it's going to rattle like crazy. Step number 5 is to have a good business plan. And what I mean by a good business plan is not going to Google and looking up business plans and building some 40-page business plan. Those are pretty ridiculous, and they don't really do a lot of good. The only thing that those are used for is like gaining funding for something. From a practical standpoint, kind of a more pragmatic approach to it, they don't really benefit you at all. What you want to put together is about a 5-page plan on what you're planning on doing with your business, your target markets, all the names of people that you're going to be using, so your bankers, your lawyers, stuff like that, things that you want to keep kind of handy and be able to give that to other people. Because if you take on a partner, or you take on somebody that has a vested interest in the company, you want to say, hey, this is the plan that I came up with, these are all the contexts, this is all the information. I keep one for every business we do, and they're very beneficial to have. You want to revisit that yearly. I would say quarterly is ideal, but from a practical standpoint, as you start getting busier, you're not going to be able to revisit it quarterly. Now, when you first start out, if you don't have any other revenues coming in and you got one business, you're probably going to revisit it daily. But as you get busier and as your plans start coming together, revisit it yearly, and make your adjustments to it to have things to make changes to it. We make changes to ours all the time, and we find that that plan is more just a really loose guideline of where we're going. We do completely different ventures than what's in our first business plan. In our first business plan, we didn't follow probably 70% of what was outlined in there, but the 30% that we did have outlined allowed us to have a plan driving forward. When we look at those plans at the end of the year, and we take our P&L sheet from the end, our profit and loss sheet from the end of the year, we can take those and combine them and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, where do we want to invest more money, and how do we want to kind of bring this whole ship forward. And they also help you with your efficiency. Remember, we talked about efficiency was number 4. So we want to focus on cash flow instead of efficiency. The efficiency is kind of one of those things that you really want to let your people and your team figure out. There's always a phrase when I was in the Army that the way to find the most efficient way to do something is you put the laziest guy and the hardest working guy in the same team. The laziest guy will figure out the easiest way to do it. The hardest working guy will get it done. And so you put both people together. So kind of the same principle, right? We want to give people a vested interest in making it efficient. So if our team has a vested interest in making it efficient, and you don't just load them up with more work, but you actually allow them to, hey, you save the company 4 hours of work, I'm gonna let you go a half day early on Friday, because that 4 hours I can use for the rest of the time that I'm in business. And so if I have to give you a few extra vacation days or a holiday or even a big fat bonus check for it, that is worth every penny. I was working at an auto factory when I got out of the Army, and one of the things that we suggested to the upper management was to have basically a tip jar where people could put in their tips on how to make processes more efficient, and then they should get a bonus out of it. Now, we got overruled on this, but it made a lot of sense, because if they had taken let's say a process, and they had been able to save the company $10 million a year, which some of these processes that they were putting forward, when we calculated them out, the changes, that's about what some of them would have saved the company. Now, most of them were $10,000, $100,000, or even $1 million ideas, but there were some that were pretty substantial what they would have saved the corporation. And if that corporation had said, hey, every time you save us money, we'll calculate out what it will save us in a year, and we'll give you a 10% bonus check based on that, or even we'll give you the whole first year's savings. Any one of those things would be a glowing way to actually encourage the growth from your people. So anyways, guys, I don't want to ramble on too long, but I just wanted to give you guys some ideas on how to get your business started. And I didn't want to have things in there like, obviously, there's hard work, set goals for yourself, stuff like that. But those are really the 5 tips and the 5 things that we've done with all of our businesses that we found to be most successful. And it really all comes back to having a plan, having the right people in place, and having the proper mindset. So again, guys, this is Mackay with Ironside Ranch. I really appreciate y'all watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like it as well. But we'll see y'all next time, and we are out.